Hey, I'm genuinely thankful you're here watching this. It means more than I can say. If you decide to subscribe, that'd mean the world to me. But let's get to it, because this story starts quietly. No drama, no signs, just an ordinary day. A meeting on my schedule got canceled, so I ended up leaving the office earlier than usual. I didn't text Serena, my wife. I thought I'd do something sweet. I swung by her favorite coffee shop and picked up her usual iced chai, light ice, oat milk. Just a small token, hoping it might brighten her day. Thoughtful, uncomplicated. The route home took me through Maple Ridge, a winding, calm neighborhood where we used to spend slow Sundays walking hand in hand. That was before life became predictable, automated. I wasn't really focused on much until I spotted a car that struck a chord. It was Serena's Audi, light gold, parked awkwardly along a quiet, curved stretch of road not known for traffic or convenience. Just the kind of place someone would choose to avoid being seen. I instinctively lifted my foot off the gas. It wasn't suspicion, it was reflex. I coasted past with my windows up, doing my best to look casual. But there she was, Serena, in the driver's seat, and she wasn't alone. A man sat beside her, angled in close, speaking in that low, intimate way that makes it hard to hear, but easy to feel. He looked confident, polished, comfortable in a way I hadn't seen her be with me for a long while. She laughed, soft, melodic, a sound I'd forgotten she still had. They didn't notice my car. I didn't stop. I didn't confront them. I just kept going, though my heartbeat was hammering and my thoughts were spiraling. At home, I hung my keys on the hook by the door, like I always did. But everything suddenly felt foreign. The house was too still. It wasn't peaceful. It was hollow, like it was bracing for something inevitable. That evening, she came through the front door like nothing had shifted. Smiling, takeout in hand, eyes bright. "Surprise," she sang, waving the bag. "Tried to beat the traffic." She gave me a quick kiss on the cheek, routine, rehearsed. "You didn't text me today," I said, keeping my voice even. She shrugged. "Signal's trash in that building again," she answered, tossing her keys onto the counter like always. I helped unpack the food, nodded through her stories, offered the right expressions. But inside, something had already snapped. That man, that laugh, the casual touch of his hand on her shoulder. It had cracked something fundamental. Later, while she was in the shower, her phone lit up on the dresser. One message. "Still thinking about last night." I didn't scream. I didn't break. I just took a photo of the screen, not from rage, but from the stark clarity of needing undeniable proof. The next morning, she kissed me goodbye as she rolled her suitcase out the door. She said she was headed to a strategy meeting in Austin. She wore a new citrus scent, fresh, unfamiliar. After she left, I picked up the phone and made a call I never thought I'd make. I reached out to Cal Becker, an old friend from college who disappeared into the world of digital surveillance. We hadn't talked in years, but there was history between us. I didn't need to explain much. He didn't ask. He just understood. By afternoon, he handed me a compact GPS device. "It's discreet. Stick it in the trunk lining," he said. "If you want truth, this is how you find it. After that, it's on you." That evening, she was glowing again, laughing, sipping wine over pasta, talking about our anniversary like nothing was wrong. Around 9:20, she disappeared into the shower once more. Her phone sat untouched on the nightstand. I didn't touch it. I just stared at it. I already knew this was a road I couldn't come back from. The next morning, suitcase packed, she kissed me like always and called out, "Back tomorrow night," before heading out the door. But within 30 minutes, the tracker showed her heading west, not toward Austin, nowhere near it. 3 hours later, the GPS pinged her location near a cozy boutique hotel in San Marcos. Quiet, hidden, not built for meetings. And when I checked the reservation log, her name wasn't there. Neither was mine. so I drove. I parked across the street, engine off. I waited. Then I saw them. The same man, the same way she leaned in close, his hand resting too comfortably on her lower back. And yes, that same infuriatingly familiar laugh. This time, though, I didn't just watch. I took pictures. Then I stepped out of the car. The brakes screeched as I pulled up. Her laughter died mid-breath. She turned, saw me, and froze, color draining from her face. The man at her side stiffened, hand still resting on her like he belonged there. "Jake?" she said, voice breaking like she wasn't sure I was real. I walked forward, calm, controlled. No shouting, no tears, just ice. "Austin, huh?" I asked quietly. She opened her mouth. "I can explain—" "Don't," I said, firm. "Don't insult me with a story you rehearsed." The guy started to speak, stepping forward slightly. "Hey, man." "Save it," I interrupted. "You don't get to speak." He lifted his hands in surrender. "I didn't know she was married." I saw Serena flinch, barely, just enough to know that something inside her cracked. But I wasn't looking for regret. I just needed to be done. "Grab your stuff. You've got 1 hour. After that, the locks change." Her voice trembled. "Jake, wait." "It's done," I replied coldly. "We can work through this." "Fix what?" I asked, eyes narrowing. "You weren't trapped. You weren't unhappy. You just wanted more, and you didn't care who got hurt along the way." Tears welled in her eyes, but I'd already turned emotionally numb. "I'm calling a locksmith tonight," I added. "Live with your choice." When I returned home later, she was gone. Her clothes, her books, even the chipped mug from our Vermont trip, all of it cleared out like she'd never existed in my world. Except for one thing, a photo of us on our 5th anniversary, still on the entry table. I turned it face down. I didn't cry, I didn't yell, I just changed the locks. And for the first time in what felt like years, the quiet in the house didn't feel heavy. It felt clean, final, peaceful. At 11:02 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hey, Jake, I'm Morgan. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen. Scam? Wrong number? Then another message followed. "The man at the hotel with your wife. He's my husband." My chest tightened, not from sorrow, but something else entirely. Understanding. I wasn't the only one. The next day, we met at a roadside diner off Route 19. Morgan wore a navy jacket, her face bare of makeup. Tired, but strong. Her eyes carried the weight of months, maybe years, of buried truths. "I always felt something was wrong," she said quietly, stirring her coffee. "Late meetings, trips that didn't make sense, but I couldn't let myself believe it." I nodded slowly, letting her speak. There were receipts, strange texts. One day he brought home a second phone, said it was for work, but it never rang. He'd just stare at it. I leaned back. Serena kept hers under the pillows, thought I wouldn't catch on. She reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. Boarding passes, hotel reservations, even their message history. I sifted through the folder slowly, page by page. Every detail matched, same cities, identical dates, a perfectly choreographed lie. "They're both working at Westford Tech, right?" she asked. I gave a small nod. "They won't be for much longer," she said, her smile cool and razor-sharp. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Westford enforces a strict no-relationships policy among staff. It's written into their code of conduct. One complaint, supported with evidence, and they're gone. No appeals." I leaned back, staring at her. "Why are you doing this?" She met my stare without hesitation. "Because I'm tired of being the collateral damage in someone else's illusion. Because they act like there are no consequences. And because you deserve to watch them crash just as much as I do." That evening, we laid everything out. Reservations, confirmations, timestamps, and the images I'd captured. It wasn't driven by emotion. It was surgical, intentional. By dawn, Westford Tech's HR department had a complete report, sealed, time-stamped, and fully documented. By Wednesday, the dominoes began to fall. No calls from Serena, no explanation. Just a silence that felt heavier than any confrontation. I thought I'd get something. An excuse, a desperate reach, some denial. But she understood. She'd known from the moment I saw her at that hotel. She understood as I walked away. There are some lines that, once crossed, stay crossed. The knock came Thursday evening. I didn't hesitate. I opened the door and stepped out before she could put on a performance. She looked drained, her eyes swollen, makeup smeared, clutching her phone like it could save her. "Jake, please, we need to talk." "Then talk," I said flatly. She hesitated. "They terminated me. This morning. They said I violated company policy. They had everything, texts, schedules, pictures. Someone turned in a full report. I have no idea who." I didn't answer. Her voice cracked. "Jake, was it you?" I held her gaze. "Does it even matter? You already picked him?" She dropped her eyes, biting her lip. "I didn't mean for it to happen with Trevor. It just did." I didn't flinch. "No, it didn't just happen. You didn't slip. You dove in. Again and again." Her hands shook. "I've lost it all. My position, my colleagues, my reputation. I wasn't thinking." I cut her off. "No, you were thinking I'd never find out." She tried again. "Can't we at least try to repair this? Maybe counseling? We used to be solid, Jake." I stepped closer. "We used to be honest. We used to be faithful. That version of us died when you made your choice." She blinked rapidly. "It was a mistake." I stayed still. "It was a decision, and now you live with it." Then I turned, stepped inside, and shut the door. For the first time in weeks, the house didn't feel hollow. It felt like it belonged to me again. That night, Morgan called. "He's out too," she said. Same day. They were called into separate HR meetings. Trevor tried to bluff, but there was too much evidence. I could hear the exhaustion in her relief. "How are you holding up?" I asked. She gave a dry chuckle. "Better than yesterday." Over the next few days, we kept talking about the quiet echoing in our homes, the awkward moments in grocery store aisles, the way nights stretched out. We didn't rush anything. We were like two people crawling out of the same wreck, comparing what was left. And then Morgan said something that shifted the ground beneath us. "Jake, don't take this the wrong way. But they thought they broke us. They didn't. What if we proved that? Not just by moving on, but by winning." I raised a brow. "What do you mean?" Her voice sharpened with purpose. "Serena and Trevor weren't just employees. They managed high-value accounts, big ones. Their exit left a hole. I made some calls. There's a contract up for grabs. If we come in together as a private team, we could undercut everyone. Clean." I smiled slowly. "You're serious?" She was. Within 2 days, we had a business name, legal documents, and a full proposal. I handled the logistics. She crafted the strategy. In 2 weeks, we had a pitch meeting, with the same board Serena used to dazzle. It felt almost unreal. Morgan commanded the room, articulate and sharp. I walked the CFO through a detailed, bulletproof plan. By the end, we made the competition look like amateurs. We landed it. 6 months, $140,000. Our first victory. There was no celebration, no party. Just us, under soft lights in my backyard, sipping coffee. "They didn't see it coming," Morgan said. "They never do." The ripple was instant. Trevor tried to freelance. The word got around. Westford didn't make it official, but the industry murmured. His name, once respected, became a warning. He messaged Morgan, calls, texts, a voicemail. She never responded. 3 weeks later, Serena sent me an email. No subject line, just 2 sentences. I've lost everything. Can we talk? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Silence carried more weight than a reply ever could. But life has a funny way of circling back. 2 months after they were let go, Morgan and I were invited to speak at a regional tech conference. Panels, mixers, networking events. Our topic? Trust and ethics in professional collaborations. Irony, right? What we didn't expect was to spot them, Serena and Trevor, across the hotel lobby. Not attending, working, catering staff, matching black polos, name tags clipped. Trevor noticed me first. He froze, the tray in his hands starting to shake. Serena looked a moment later. Her posture stiffened. She turned her gaze away. Morgan leaned close. Should we say something? I shook my head. Let them watch. That night, we stood before a room of 200, speaking about integrity, loyalty, and professional trust. The applause wasn't thunderous, but it was genuine, steady, respectful. Later, I found Serena alone by the service elevator. Her uniform hung awkwardly. Her voice was low but clear. Jake. I stopped. She stepped forward, not meeting my eyes. I've been applying everywhere. I didn't think it would spiral this far. I warned you, I said softly. She finally looked up. Her voice cracked. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I felt invisible. I wanted someone to see me again. I exhaled slowly. You could have told me that. We could have figured it out. But instead, you chose secrecy over honesty. She nodded slowly. I know. I looked at her, not with bitterness, but with clarity. She wasn't the woman I once loved. And I didn't owe her a goodbye. That had already happened. She wasn't the woman I once divorced. That version of her had faded, replaced by someone reshaped by the fallout she never thought would find her. Jake, maybe one day we can... There won't be, I said gently, cutting her off. And that's all right. You can't shatter something and expect to still own it once it's been rebuilt. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no sound came. She let them close again. I turned and walked away, never glancing back. The months that followed were quiet, steady, a slow repair. Morgan and I worked together, professionally, cautiously. We never pushed boundaries. Still, shared wounds tend to draw their own connections. One Sunday, she dropped off coffee at my place. No explanation. Just a simple note scribbled in black marker for Jake, who deserves better. That evening, I made dinner. 2 plates. 2 glasses, 1 table, no expectations. We talked, really talked, about where life had taken us, about how being betrayed inside your own home rewrites every rule you once trusted. I used to fantasize about getting even, she admitted. Now, I just want quiet. I lifted my glass. Then let's build that quiet together. The seasons turned, and life became a story we no longer read from the beginning. Serena stayed silent. Trevor? He left the state. Morgan told me he'd been blacklisted from nearly every firm in the region, ran off, humiliated. Reputation travels fast. Trust travels faster, especially when it's broken. Morgan and I didn't label what we had. No big announcements. No social media clues. Just small moments, late-night calls, unhurried walks, silence that understood us. We weren't there to fix each other. We just kept each other company on the road to healing. One evening, I found myself driving past the park where I had first seen Serena in that car. For the first time, I pulled over. Not to rage, not to catch anyone in the act. Just to look. The hedges still blocked the view. The pavement still bore the same scars, but this time, looking didn't hurt. That version of me, the man who second-guessed himself, who hesitated, he didn't live here anymore. Back home, I opened the closet. There, hidden away, was a small box marked wedding keepsakes, forgotten during the moving chaos. I brought it to the kitchen table and opened it. Letters, faded photos, her wedding corsage, dry and fragile. I smiled, not out of longing, but clarity. Then I shut the box, carried it outside, and placed it in a donation bin. Let someone else find use for the frame. I no longer needed the picture it once held. 6 months after landing our first major project, Morgan and I opened an office. 1 room, 2 desks, a tiny Keurig with only 2 pod flavors. But it was ours. It rose from the wreckage. It stood on truth. At our launch event, clients laughed, networked, shared stories. People didn't see us as survivors anymore. They saw us as builders. Around 9 p.m., I stood at the window, sipping club soda. Morgan came over. "You're quiet," she said. "I'm just thinking," I replied, "how odd it is to feel thankful for betrayal." She smiled. "Because it gave you freedom?" "No," I said, "because it reminded me what I've always deserved." She leaned her head gently on my shoulder. We didn't say a word, but sometimes the most profound commitments are the ones spoken in silence. A year passed. One day, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside, a single folded page. "I hope you're well. I've taken a position in Oregon, trying to start fresh. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." Serena, I read it, then read it again. And then I burned it, not out of anger, but to mark the end. She no longer belonged to my story, and I had no reason to cling to ashes, not when I was finally walking in sunlight. This is where the story ends. If it meant something to you, I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Thanks for spending time here, and if this touched you, there are more stories waiting on the channel. Take care, my friend. Until next time.